core component number one, and I want us to think about this a little bit, it is actually FAQs and questions-based content, right? And this matters because, again, let's go back to one of the first things that I said, right? Why is it called AEO? Why is it called answer engine optimization? Well, because it is literally generating answers to the prompts that people are asking, right? So how do you optimize your content for that? Well, you anticipate what those questions can be, and you have them on your website so that when a consumer or a possible client asks a question that's related to your product or your brand, you already have an answer to that question on your website, and ChatGPT or the Google bots can find it within milliseconds if you have it properly formatted. So that means structuring your content properly, keeping your content actually really short, so breaking your content into bullet points or shorter paragraphs. Another thing that I've personally done is added on most of my pages these little blocks that I'm calling them TLDR blocks, which is essentially just a summary of everything that's on the page. So I have the TLDR block, which is a summary of everything that's on the page. Then I have everything that's on the page. And then at the bottom of the page, I have an FAQ with questions related that are to everything that is on the page, right? So let me show you what that actually looks like. This is my website here, elevateai.com. And if we go, for example, we can go to any page, but let's go to my services page, for example. It starts right off with a TLDR block right here, which is a short summary of everything that's on the page. Then I have everything that's on the page very clearly stated. I have something here for how do our services work together. And right below it, I have FAQs related to every single one of the questions, right? Or every single one of my services, I should say. The other thing that I wanted to point out in relation to that is if you notice my headings are all questions as well. So this is a question that probably somebody could ask in ChatGPT. How do Elevate AI's consulting services work together? Well, guess what? I have that question on my website and I have the answers, right? If we look at my homepage, it doesn't say choose us. It says why choose Elevate AI Consulting, right? Again, trying to anticipate a question that somebody may ask, right? What services do we offer? Again, trying to anticipate somebody asking, what services does Elevate AI Consulting offer? In my contact page, it says, how can you get in touch, right? So even my headings, I'm making sure to optimize them and without being like annoying and over the top, right, with it, but where it makes sense, turning those headings actually into questions. So then if somebody were to ask, how can I get in touch with Thiago, or how can I get in touch with Elevate AI Consulting? Guess what, ChatGPT? I have the answer to that question. I have that question and the answer for you. Very easy for you to find on my page. And then even in my contact page, for example, I have FAQs and I have all those other elements that we were talking about. So again, anticipating what those questions can be and making sure the most important element of everything that I just said is really those FAQs, right? Having FAQs on all your most important pages that are related to what's on the page is really going to make a huge difference for you. So that's component number one, and probably one of the easiest to add as well, because it's just a matter of changing some of the headings on your website. You can work with AI to generate FAQs for you, right? So you don't have to sit there and write FAQs. You can ask ChatGPT to help you with that and then just easily post it on your page. So that is probably the easiest step that people can follow in order to start optimizing their content.
No, that would work for anybody right now. So anybody could just go on their website and just change the headings to questions, and that would help them. Now, maybe that's not going to guarantee that they're going to be number one for that question, but it'll help them right now, at least a little bit, you think, right?
100%. And then definitely, like I said, working with ChatGPT or one of the other tools to help you generate FAQs about the content on your page, and then posting those FAQs, that will actually really help with your ranking, right? So that's the easiest first step right there. And then AEO component number 2 is just, as I was mentioning before, having your content really well structured so that ChatGPT can find it. So structured headings and semantic clarity. So if you've ever written a blog or even actually in Microsoft Word, right, we have the title and headings and subheadings. That's how you want to have your document or your information organized on your website as well. So having those clear hierarchies of your content, heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, so that not only bots, but humans as well, right? Because having the organized structure helps everybody find the information more easily. So that's already actually an SEO, even best practice that we can apply here even more to AEO. And the other things as well is not having super long blocks of text, as I mentioned. Don't bury the information inside of paragraphs. Let's have bullet points. Let's have clear headings indicating what is on those bullet points, and make sure that our content is organized in a structure that is clearly stating what the problem is, clearly stating your approach for your product or your brand in order to solve that problem or that consumer pain point, right? And linking that to results as well. So you just want to have your data really structured in that sense. And I can show you what that looks like as well. So for example, if we go to one of my blogs, this is actually the blog that I wrote about applying AEO to my website. And if we follow along, you can see that I have headings here. I have subheadings. My content it's not long paragraphs. I have bullet points, right? Very, very short sentences. And as I mentioned, just a very clear structure of my blog post itself so that ChatGPT can easily find those answers. And adding with point number 1 that I mentioned, right? All my blog posts have a TLDR block, which is a little summary of what my blog is about. And then guess what I have at the end of the blog? Yeah, you probably guessed it. I have an FAQ at the end, right? So just adding on to the things that we're talking about, right? So having those question-based structure, having clear headings all over the place, that again with the goal of helping the bots find your information easily. Someone have a question? Oh, I think
who's not muted?
There you go. It's all good. It's all good. No problem. So
it has to happen once. It has to happen once during any call.
Yeah, that's okay. It's no problem. So component number 3 is just being really, really clear about who you are and who your company is, depending on what the case is, and what your product is. And because it's helpful for the chatbots to find out that information as easily as possible, right? So number 1, clearly stating the name of your company, your location, and the industry that you're in every key page, and that probably means having it in the header or footer of your website. Explicitly describe your services, your product, your expertise area, and not just that, who it's for. Who is your target audience? Who is your target industry? Who that specific product or service is for, and being consistent, right? So for me, I can give an example. My old website, so the legal name of my company is Elevate AI LLC, right? But I'm doing business as Elevate AI Consulting, and then sometimes I just call it Elevate AI for short, right? And so that was a mistake right there. Now I make sure that every single place where my company is possibly mentioned, I make sure that it says Elevate AI Consulting, right? The consistency matters. You want to continue creating that brand towards the bots, And also just being really clear about your offerings, right? So let's take a look at what that looks like in practice. Number one, of course, as is traditional, I have an about page. So my about page has, everything about me and my company. I make sure that it says Elevate AI Consulting. Again, with a question, right? Who is Elevate AI Consulting? The languages, and at the footer of my page, I have, across my entire website, my company address, a short description, a phone number, email. But then I go a little bit further than that, right? Again, remember, it's about establishing your entity and being really clear about who you are. So I went further than that. I created a whole page just about my credentials and certifications so that I can really establish that authority and the entity that I am. And also, I went another step further, again, FAQ at the end, right, about all my different certifications and all that good stuff. And then I also created a citations page so that anytime that I get mentioned on the media or on the news, or there's a new article, or I get a new professional accreditation or something like that, boom, I establish my business listings, company information, everything very, very, very clearly, right? I want to establish who I am, where I am. And then, as I mentioned, you also want to talk about who is your client, right? Who are your products for? So if you go to my services page, for example, and we take a look at my boot camps, for each one of my boot camp packages, where do I have it? Boom. So for each one of my packages, I have who is this package for? So this is ideal for pilot groups. This is ideal for groups building AI literacy. This is ideal for leaders interested in discovery tools. This is ideal for senior executives, right? So just really making sure that you're listing exactly who your products are for and who you are, so that, again, ChatGPT can easily find that and recommend it for you, right, when somebody asks. So establishing that clear entity of who you are is really going to help. And
real quick, did we have any questions or anything so far, guys? I know we're going to have a little bit of time at the end, but just want to take a quick break. Maybe let Thiago have a sip of water or something.
I'll drink my coffee.
There you go. All right. Any questions so far? Like, how is this landing? Like, is this helpful? You guys getting something out of this so far?
I hope that's a yes, but everybody's muted. That's okay. I'm gonna assume that's a yes, Dan.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Cool.
Otherwise they would have left.
Good point.
So component number 4, right? So one thing that I want you to notice is that it's building, right? Everything that I'm saying is adding to the point before. And the entire point of the whole thing is to establish authority and credibility, right? Which is actually point number 4, which I showed already a little bit on the previous slide, right? Establishing your credibility and your authority. Let's think about this for a second, right? Because it's interesting. When ChatGPT provides an answer, well, let's not talk about ChatGPT. Let's talk about Alexa, right? Because that's an even more extreme example. When you ask ChatGPT, it may give you 2 or 3 different options, as we mentioned, with one top recommendation. When you talk to Alexa or Siri, it's even more critical that you are the answer, right? Because Alexa is really just providing the one answer, right? ChatGPT may provide you 2 or 3 there in the text. Alexa is providing one. Like, Alexa, give me laundry place nearby, and Alexa is going to provide you the one laundry place nearby that it thinks is the best for you, right? And so you really want to establish your credentials and qualifications. You need to have social proof, right? So one of the biggest things that makes a difference is actually having testimonials, client logos, and reviews. Reviews are extremely important. Case studies and results are extremely important. And linking out to reputable institutions, as well as having reputable institutions link into your page. So let me show you again what that looks like in practice. Number one, I already showed you my credentials and certifications page, right? Is essentially like a recreation of my LinkedIn page, right? I have my education, my professional certifications, all the different training programs that I do throughout the year. I added them all here. I make sure that I link to all of those institutions, right? And so that, again, linking out to reputable institutions, I'm linking out to Innovating with AI, I'm linking out to the Miami-Dade LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce that I'm a member, linking out to the business school where I got my MBA, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So that is one of the things. The other thing also is, as I mentioned, testimonials and reviews are extremely important. So I accomplished that by highly encouraging everybody who attends my workshops to leave a review, which I will also ask you at the end. Help me out with my AEO by leaving me a review at the end if you've enjoyed it. If you didn't enjoy it, go leave Dan a review because it's his fault that he brought me in.
Oh, okay. I see how it is. I see how it is. It's all right. I saw you linking a lot to 100 School. So there's a lot of
Yes.
people on this call that I actually met by doing 100 School together, which is awesome. So, and who told you about 100 School?
Uh, was that you? Actually, I'm not sure. Is that what you're trying
Yeah,
to get at?
yeah.
Okay.
I was fishing for the answer on that one. Yes,
Yes, it was
I
awesome.
love 100 School.
Me too.
And if anybody doesn't know what that is, I know a lot of people on this call, but 100 School is a free program that I know I've met a lot of people from this. It's amazing, amazing learning. Max does great things over there, and it's completely free, which I love about it. Like every single one of these lessons, 14 days, 7 days. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm plugging 100 School right now because it's free and it's amazing. So, all right,
It's
never mind.
awesome resource. I recommend it to everybody also. So again, linking out, listing out, establishing your authority, right? Getting reviews from certified sources, so Google Maps, Yelp, Trustpilot, all of these other places, wherever you can get reviews, and highly encouraging your clients to leave you reviews and testimonials where possible. And then, as I mentioned, linking out to external citations and trustworthy sources as well, right? Credible sources. So again, trying to establish yourself as the authority so that Alexa or Siri or ChatGPT or any tool can give you or your brand or your product as the authority on whatever the client is asking about, if you're the authority on the subject, right? Number 5 is actually just an internal linking strategy. You want to create essentially a web of links within your website. So why that matters is that internal links help the AI model understand the relationships between the topics on your websites and strengthen the associations between them. So really, as I mentioned, creating a web of content across your website. So let me show you how I actually accomplish that, because this one is actually easier to show than to actually explain. So one of the things that I did, of course, as I mentioned, it's important to have case studies, right, and show results. So I make sure, for example, I have an actual case studies page that links back to my service pages, so that you can come here and download the case studies, or you can go to my services and then find my case studies actually within the service pages, right? So I actually doing like a back and forth type of linking, right? In my blogs, I make sure that I'm always referencing one of my old blog posts or my service pages, right? So here you can see somewhere in the middle of my blog, I wrote that I specialize in these things, and I'm linking back to those service pages, right? I am talking about how, let me see, let me find another one here. Oh, I don't know which one it is, but essentially I'm making sure that within all of my blog posts, this one here actually, that within all of my blog posts, here we go, I am linking to old blog posts, right? Linking to service pages. Essentially, as I mentioned, creating this web of interconnectivity within my own website in order to help the AI bots understand how that content actually all connects together, right? Another way that I accomplish that is by at the bottom of every one of my blog posts, I link to recent posts, right? I make sure that it automatically has an explore more with linking to some of my other relevant pages to that post, right? And so it's really thinking about finding those opportunities to continue creating the web that we're trying to create in order to inform the chatbots. And core component number 6 is inclusive signals, different languages that you may speak or service, different your geographic reach, language tags, language support. So all of these things, if you can add them to your website, essentially just making it really clear about the type of inclusivity that your company can actually bring or service, I should say. So whether that means different languages, different diversity of clients, reaching out to specific niche groups. These are things that you want to be very specific in your website as well. And again, I accomplish that by on my own website, making sure that one of the first things in my case that I have here is the fact that I do deliver in Portuguese and Spanish as well as English, making sure that I have, my service area here as Miami, Florida, but servicing worldwide, mentioning those things in my different blog posts, mentioning the fact that my company is a member of the LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce here in Miami, right? So again, adding that accessibility and inclusivity aspect to my brand because it is relevant to my brand, right? And so adding those things that are relevant and making sure that they're very clear on all over the website as well. And finally, and probably the most important component is actually in the backend. So this one is a little bit harder to show, but I did copy and paste a code block here so you can actually just see what it looks like if you're interested. That's just called schemas and structured data. And what that means is just machine readable content that answer engines understand exactly what is on the page, and it can trigger richer results for them. So on my About Us page, I have an organization schema, and I learned all these things, that these things even existed, right? There's organization schemas, there are person schemas, there are all of those FAQ blocks that you saw on all my different pages. Well, guess what? There's an FAQ specific schema that you have to use. Services, events. My event page doesn't have one overall event schema. Every single one of the events that I have on there have their own schema. Actually, I've gone really overboard with my AEO optimization, you guys. And so
how many times did you say schema in the last 30 seconds?
Oh my God, I know. I should have $1 for every time, right? Buy a coffee. So then, as you can see, all of that looks like is essentially formatted content that is structured in a specific way that the AI can read, accepted answers, what exactly is in this question, what exactly is in this answer. This all just lives in the backend of your website. It is essentially an extra layer on top of the code that already exists. And again, just makes your content much easier for the chatbots to actually scan and find, right? But this is actually, everything else is really, really going to help your AEO rankings. The schemas are the thing that are really going to take it to the next level. And so those are the 7 main components. They're not the only ones, but those are the main components that I personally have been working on and getting results from. As again, on top of the traditional SEO strategy, right? It's complementary to that strategy.